Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 2nd, 2023. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling well. Let's see. I want to go ahead and mosey on into the food corner because it's a good one. I have a good one. I'm finally bearing a good food corner. Like I'm hopefully you're as excited as I was when this hit me. I woke up this morning doing a little bit of morning scrolling before I went to work, and I see this article on Facebook, little local news article, and it is about Mellow Mushroom and Skyline Chili doing a team up for a pizza. Now, I'm sure if you're a Cincinnati local yokel, you already know what a chili pizza is. Like, you've already heard of it. Essentially, it is like the components of a three-way. I'm saying this for the people who are not in the know. You get the chili. There's no beans in this situation. You get the chili, you get the mustard, you get the onions. And they put this all into a pizza. And then in this version, this Mellow Mushroom Skyline version, they top it with the hot dog pieces. And I was so down. Like, once you described the pizza to me and I knew it was from Mellow Mushroom, if you are an avid listener to this podcast, you know that's probably like my favorite restaurant right now. Like, for a while it's been there. Like, I've been gushing and blushing about this fucking place for a long time. And I've definitely come to a conclusion. I don't know if I've said this before or not, but when it comes to their pizza, their specialty pizzas are insanely good. Whereas if you're just getting like a basic thing from them, I'd actually rather go to like other pizza places, if that makes sense. Like, their pepperoni pizza is not the best pizza I've ever had, but their Maui Wowie pizza is insanely good. And I don't even know I can't even recite what's on it. I just know it's good. I've had it. It's awesome. It's yum yum. So when they said they're going to make this Skyline pizza, I was frothing at the mouth. I was like, when I get off of work, I'm going to get it. And I waited like 30 minutes and I got that shit. So yeah, I get it. And I got to say, it is one of the messiest pizzas I've had. It was just going all over the place, but in a way that I'm okay with, because the cheese pulls were amazing. The bite was so good, and their crust is just so amazing. Bravo. Just, I'm clapping it up. Even they even had the oyster crackers in there. I was like, yo, it's so good. So definitely worth. It is at their own, unfortunately, like, it's only at the local, like, Cincinnati locations here. I think there's like 2 that you can go to, but I highly recommend it if you can get this pizza. And I would suggest it at home. I mean, hey, you gotta like random foods to be into this kind of thing, but making a chili pizza is definitely worth it, and probably better than the Sky Rona if I'm gonna compare the two, because I didn't feel nearly as debauched eating this pizza. It felt like a normal experience, whereas wrapping cheese coney in a pizza, that didn't feel right. It was hard to eat, and yeah, like I said, you just felt like a bad person in a way. Like, you just felt like you didn't do something right, I don't know. But yeah, other than that, it's been a standard operating week. You know, we're here, baby. We're living, laughing, and loving. All right, but let's get into some news. We definitely have some things to talk about. From the Associated Press, just days to spare, Senate gives final approval to debt ceiling deal, sending it to Biden. So it turns out that I can have just waited, and this shit would have gotten wrapped up. I was, getting worked up for nothing. We did all this talk about 14th Amendments and trillion-dollar coins, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bother my audience for that shit. I'm just going to learn about this stupid-ass bullshit so I can go in one ear and out the other, because none of this shit's probably even going to fucking matter. And that was right. Feel free to look that shit up if you'd like. They're very fun little things that took place in this whole saga that has been these debt ceiling negotiations. The last time we covered it, Yellen came out and said, hey, we actually have at least enough time until the 5th. So, got to get something done, though. And they were able to hammer out a deal And I gotta say, I hate this deal. I hate it. I hate it. I fucking hate it. And I kind of knew I was, but I was holding my breath because for me, it was going to come down to like one part of it that was just going to bother me. Whether or not if the Biden administration was going to make the concession on the deal, and then if both parts of Congress, specifically the Democrats, were going to say, okay, yeah, we're okay with this. But surprisingly, the deal did get done, or unsurprisingly, I guess you could say. But I do want to talk about a little bit about some of the guts of it. Overall, the 99-page bill restricts spending for the next 2 years, suspends the debt ceiling until January of 2025, and changes some policies, including imposing new work requirements for older Americans receiving food aid and green lighting an Appalachian natural gas line that many Democrats oppose. It bolsters funds for defense and veterans, cuts back new money for Internal Revenue, the IRS agents, and restricts Biden's call to roll back Trump-era tax breaks on corporation and the wealthy to cover the nation's deficits. It imposes an automatic 1% cut if Congress fails to approve its annual spending bills. I'm not sure, it wasn't in this article, but I might have heard too that might have been talks about cuts on the student loan thing. I'm not sure about that. I might be getting my wires crossed there. But really the thing, like I said, that was going to make me flip was the imposing the new work requirements thing. I think that shit's so fucked up. The idea that you were going to make people have to find work, and this idea came from McCarthy and other Republicans that, well, we need to get more people working because it's going to help the economy and it's also going to save money. It's a win-win. When literally going to the economics of this shit, it was literally proven before the numbers came out that this is not going to save any money. And in fact, when the numbers came out, they're like, you're actually wasting money on this because there's still veterans and other people that overlap that we still have to pay for. Like, we still have to help them out. So this isn't helpful. This isn't actually doing anything. But according to their own numbers from the negotiations, I believe $1.5 trillion were saved in deficits. So, like, somehow both sides of this conversation, McCarthy and Biden, are both going to their people and going to the public saying, look, we got a W here. We made it happen. And, like, this to me is just the biggest reminder of what happens when you get two moderates in a room, no matter what side of the fence they are. Like, this is the kind of milquetoast baby back ass bullshit that just gets produced. And it's so silly how performative this shit has been. The fact that Biden could have literally, before the new Congress came into session this year, he could have fought to fix this shit. Granted, it probably wouldn't have worked out. Some weaselly ass fucking Democrats would have fucking jammed it up. Joe Manchin was literally fighting for a goddamn pipeline that goes, oh, West Virginia needs this. We need to keep this coal, natural gas pumping. Fuck you, dude. Like, so fucking annoying. There were so many Republicans who were just up in arms about this. Like, we took such an L. They're so mad that they couldn't carve more out of a situation, mind you. They're not supposed to be negotiating this shit. They're just not. Like, there's been threats about this shit back and forth from both sides. You know, it's been an ongoing thing. But I can't state this enough. This debt limit bullshit is something we've imposed on ourselves. It is a restriction that we put on ourselves. Worldwide, this affects everyone if we fuck this up. And we could literally just get rid of it. But we won't. We just won't. And now it is something that you can actually use as a negotiating ploy. And I think those two things really just throw my nerve. Like, I just don't get how Biden is going to really walk away from this saying, oh, yeah, we did something good, Jack. We really fucking popped off here. No, you didn't. It was actually very dark branded of you, bro. Like, I don't know. It just really upsets me. And like I said, the whole just performance art of all of it. Like, these guys are really, like, toting around like they're doing some fucking shit. And they're not. There's some more details here, but I really don't want to linger on it. We can go ahead and move along. From NPR. 3 Atlanta activists are arrested after their fun bailed out protesters of Cop City. Now, we've covered Cop City before. The big story that really came from this was the death of Manuel Paez Terran. They were murdered while protesting. They were shot, I believe, like upwards of like 57 times. And the officers said that they were shooting at them, and it was this whole shootout, this highly fucking drawn up thing. And during that time, I remember reading and seeing how police and people on the ground were wording this like, this is an Antifa thing. This is domestic terrorism. And like, I was already thrown off by that. Didn't like that. Like, okay, so you see some Molotov cocktails or whatever, and automatically this is a violent protest. This isn't protesting anymore. It's terrorism. And it's like, no, this is protesting. You guys are literally trying to make a literal cop fucking fortress so you can like train more Batman-like cops. To do what? Go out and crack some fucking skulls. That's all they're gonna fucking do. And you're acting like you're doing the city a favor with this shit. Blowing out this whole ass fucking national like fucking forest in the city. This shit sounds so crazy to me in terms of like what this force is, and the fact that they just want to roll a good chunk of it over just to make this thing. Like this literal cop facility for what? But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the story. Because this is a bit of, I don't want to say aftermath because it's still ongoing, but just something that just popped up. And I also something I hate too, because this isn't a big blown up story. I heard this story from some fucking Twitch stream shit actually. And then I was like, okay, let me go look this up. And I had to literally find it on like The Intercept initially. And now I found it on NPR. But just something I wanted to blow up, wanted to talk about. But police on Wednesday arrested 3 Atlanta organizers who have been aiding protesters against the city's proposed police and fire training center, striking at the structure that supports the fight against what opponents derisively call Cop City. So the people who were arrested were Marlon Scott Couts, 39 years old, of Atlanta, Savannah D. Patterson, 30, and of Savannah, Georgia, and I guess they're all Georgia, duh. And then Adele McLean, 42, of Atlanta, Georgia. Essentially, they were in charge of like a bail fund. Let's see, they're the 3 leaders of Atlanta Solidarity Fund, but essentially they're being charged with money laundering and charity fraud. And this is where I want to talk back about the domestic terrorism shit that they've been alleging. Because essentially they are really trying to stick it. In Atlanta, they are acting like they are doing some old school like New York shit. They are cranking the fucking RICO cases out. Like they just are like, oh, you're connected, you're all a fucking racket. Essentially using what RICO is to say, hey, this is a bad organization. These guys are doing bad things. And anyone who is attempting to aid, abet, do whatever to help these people out, you are also considered a part of this criminal organization. And we have the authority to arrest you and try you and like find the shit out of you or put you in jail. So essentially they are trying to use RICO, from what it looks like, to apprehend these people. And I really feel like this is a scare tactic. You are sending a message when you do shit like this. To me, this just feels like you are circumventing the law in a lot of ways. I do not feel like this is what RICO is supposed to be used for. But, you can hear some of my takes when it comes to the Young Thug thing. I don't think that they're really using... I think they're making a show of that to say, hey, we're doing something to fight crime. And we have this rapper here, and we're going to fucking keep him locked up in a fucking dungeon. But I don't know. I really feel like they're just doing this to send a message. Essentially, all these people are doing is making sure these people who are getting arrested can have bail so they can get out. Like, they still have to deal with this whole fucking situation. Like, I don't understand how this is being linked in some kind of way that they are aiding and abetting terrorists. I don't know. I feel like that's really fucked up. And I really feel like you're trying to send a signal to people that, look, you are not going to get help. If you want to continue to fight this shit, you want to continue to be in the way of this shit, stop construction, whatever, we're going to bury you. You're not going to get out of jail anytime soon. You're going to have to go through the whole process the hard way. And you need to know that. And no one's going to help you. You're not going to get any bail because no one's going to want to touch you after this. So I definitely wanted to talk about this shit. I'm hoping that there's gonna be more details as the shit continues on. And sadly, this is a negative highlight from this Cop City shit. I do think sadly, most likely they're going to succeed in getting the shit built. It's just kind of like one of those matter of time things. But I do have to commend the people who are protesting, who are out there every single day, who have like literally uprooted their lives and just said, hey, I'm giving it to this project because I don't want to see this happen. If it's going to happen here, it could happen anywhere. And I do believe that that's really the goal. Like, cops across this whole country just get funded so fucking much. So much money they don't know what to fucking do with this shit. And in this situation, they're just going to use this money to just build a super facility. Let's see. The city is tasking the private Atlanta found. Let me read this over again. The city is tasking the private Atlanta Police Foundation with building the complex, promising to pay $67 million over time. The remainder of the $90 million complex would come from private funds. Of course, they're going to find some people to help out on top of it. The foundation work is ongoing, with the complex projected to be completed by 2024. So, I mean, they're really trying to get it done. So, like I said, I appreciate people fighting the good fight. I want to spread the message, especially when they're doing some shit like this, because you don't even have to fucking do it. Like, you are doing it to send a message. And no, I had a couple of tyrants to go on top of it, but I think I've said enough here. I'll spare you my thoughts on Brian Kemp, Killer Mike, and some other Republicans, but whatever. Let's move along. We got other news to cover. From the Associated Press, more than 200 killed and 800 hurt after 2 trains derail in India. Excuse me. This is some developing news, just I believe took place today. I initially heard the number 100, and then that immediately jumped to 200 people. Just for the nature of everything and the extent of the damage. But 2 passenger trains derailed Friday in India, killing more than 200 people and trapping hundreds of others inside more than a dozen damaged rail cars. The accident happened about 220 kilometers southwest of Kolkata, created a chaotic scene of twisted wreckage and desperate rescuers as teams tried to free passengers and recover bodies. The cause is still under investigation. Now, I believe one train derailed, and then part of its cars fell onto another track, and there was a train coming the other way. It hits those train carts and then causes a whole, derailing there. And I believe there was a third train involved, but I don't believe that was as damaged. But, people were still, injured, hurt there. So this was a really major, I really want to say disaster. And I was kind of joking, in the past, hey, train news, it's been down. It's been a little bit more relaxed, and then this fucking shit happens. But, yeah, to hear that over 200 people have been killed in this situation, 800, have been injured. I'm assuming that those numbers are only going to go up, sadly. But yeah, I don't know. In this situation, I did read that hey, India is aware of these kind of issues. They've been saying, hey, we're trying to get on it. But, when you have situations where staff is working so hard and it's easy to make mistakes in situations where lives are literally on the line, you have outdated technology that you need to update. This isn't obviously an India thing. A lot of the train stuff that I've covered this year have been strictly in America. At least a good chunk of them. So, these are international issues. But it's an important thing, if you were putting out bad cars, once that gets found out, you have to have a recall, because if not, you're endangering lives every day that these cars are out and about. The idea that you were just having these train cars going to and from every day, just thousands of people. There's so, I'm being light with that number. Obviously, this is India we're talking about. There's so many people. Like, you are caring for so many people's lives. And, just to hear stories from some people saying, like, yeah, I fell asleep in the train. I woke up to, like, mangled bodies and, like, not knowing what the fuck was going on, Like, that's just some shit out of a fucking movie. Super fucking sad shit. Actually, I want to read this little fun fact here at the very end. More than 12 million people ride 14,000 trains across India every day, traveling on 64,000 kilometers of track. So there you go. All right. I got one more story to cover before I let you go. We can start our weekend. Yay. Let me take my break and then we can get to it. Oh. Whoa, no. Oh. Oh, man. I can already tell summer is going to be a swelcher. Squelcher? Is that the word? I'm sweating, y'all. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. From the Associated Press, Churchill Downs moves meet to Ellis Park to examine protocols following 12 horse deaths. Now, a bit of a learning moment from me. I'm not sure if I covered this on the Patreon or not, but there was initially like 7 horse deaths that had taken place leading up to the Kentucky Derby, and obviously that's very fucking concerning. Some of these deaths were like off the track, a lot of them were, but some actually took place on the track where a horse just like keels over and dies, and they're like, yeah, like the horse was acting really funny, he was looking at the lights all weird and then just fell over. There were talks of like trainers, either overtraining horses or potentially like some kind of doping or some kind of things of that nature, at least alleged. Now, the number has gone up to 12. Fucking 12. And the education for me comes, well, I always thought like Kentucky Derby was something and then Churchill Downs was something. And it's like, no, Kentucky Derby takes place at Churchill Downs, you dummy. And it's like, oh, cool. Now I know that. So anyway, they have decided, we can go ahead and read now. Churchill Downs will suspend racing operations on Wednesday and move the remainder of its spring meet to Ellis Park in order to conduct a top-to-bottom review of safety and service protocols in the wake of 12 horse fatalities the past month at the home of the Kentucky Derby. Now, I gotta say, I've been doing some ruminating and thinking. I've been pondering my orb here. And more or less what they're saying here is, look, we want to take some time. We want to move the races over to another place because what we're thinking is maybe there's something wrong with the track. Now, Kentucky Downs, Churchill Downs has said, we believe that our track is fine and we're up to all the measurements that they need to be. They have tested cleanly on that before. But they are minding their T's, crossing their I's, whatever the fuck it is. Ooh, chilly. But to me, maybe this is my conspiracy hats on. What are we doing here? Like, this feels like a smokescreen. It feels like, the block is hot. The number has shot up from 7 to 12. And we don't have a reason why. Why are these horses dying? And my speculation is that it's not the track. It's just this is the only thing that we can kind of point at and we know it's clean. It's possible that you could maybe make some improvements on the track and it would be better for these horses to run on. It would be good for them. Also, the situation at Ellis Park, they're not going to be running them as much. So I think hopefully that's going to be good. But I think there are 2 big factors that are causing these deaths. This is me being obviously speculation corner. I'm just being Detective Zay, okay? I think they're overworking these fucking horses. They are grinding them into fucking powder and they do not fucking care. That's not on Churchill Downs, really. Unless you just want to say, well, they're allowing it, they're making profit off of it. Sure, they're complicit. But this falls on the people who are training and operating these horses. They are knowing what the fuck is happening. They are part of the training regimen. You know what you're putting into these horses. You know what you're trying to get out of these horses. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of these things that have these horses dropping like flies. And now the number is so high that people are paying attention. And I think they're trying to do anything that they can to kind of avert that attention. Let me go ahead and take that hat off. Okay, like I said, it's hot in here. Goddamn. Who fucking knows, though? You know what I mean? I don't think any of this is going to stop anything. When I initially clicked on this story, I thought they were, like, really suspending some shit, right? And it's like, no, we're just moving it over to another fucking spot. We're, like, doing light duty. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. I really didn't expect to have much of an update here. I was like, God damn, I don't really be talking about the horses, you know? Goodbye, horses. That's what I say. But, I don't know, maybe that's a bit too morbid. All right. That's really all I have for today. I thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to support the podcast, other than just being a lovely listener, which I gotta say, heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji. I thank you. Like that's what I need. That's what gets me out of bed to do this shit. This is what has me hitting the play button, okay? But if you would like to help support financially, there's a way you can help. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Get you access to bonus content, extra episodes I do every week. Also, you get a hot link to the Discord. I'm trying to get better about posting the like good food I find, you know, so if you want to see the Skyline Pizza, it's there, it's available. Also, the Discord's free. You don't even have to actually like give me money for that. Just hit me up and I'll sit you the invite, you know, you can join the conversations. Let's see. Also, you get newsy shout out. That's important. You know, I say your name. If you want me to shout out a project or thing you're doing, I will definitely do that. Also, I do have free ways to hit me up. Facebook, Twitter, email, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. I would love an email. That would be so sleepless in Seattle of you to send me an email. But yeah, feel free to like send me news stuff. I love news, good news, bad news. It's always interesting to just absorb it like I'm Kirby. And then sometimes I like to talk about it too. You're helping out the effort. You know, that's another free way to help. Also free ways to help, hitting the subscribe button on my YouTube, hitting the bells on any of the apps that you listen to, you know, that keeps you up to date with all the episodes. You know, tell a friend maybe. I don't know. That's weird, right? I got this guy. He like talks about himself in news and like he's, you know, not perfect, but like he's all right. If you did that's points. That's big points. But obviously, you know, once again, you're a gem for just tuning in. And if you made it this far to listen to me ramble and chill, that's so A1. You're so S tier. And I hope you have an amazing start to your weekend, and hopefully I get to see you tomorrow, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.